Well, welcome back to the 90-day goal getting mastery. For the next 15-20 minutes, what I'm going to do is just walk through an overview. So this is really the introduction session. So hopefully you've got that cup of tea, a cup of coffee and a biscuit, and we'll be able to crack right on. So yeah, this is where I do all the hard work and you get to sit back and just get an understanding of the process and a little bit of the history behind it. So, the history of the 90-day goal getting program. Well, it's come through my learnings from a process called OKR, which stands for Outcome and Key Results. And it's how major businesses that are world leaders plan and work in 90-day chunks. So, companies like Google, Intel, Zappos, the shoe company in America, and Facebook use processes like OKR or very similar to it. So what is OKR? Well, Outcome and Key Results is a principle that was invented at Intel and made popular by a guy called John Doerr. While OKRs were first developed at large companies such as Intel and Oracle, as we've mentioned, OKRs are now used by companies of virtually all sizes who wish to make rapid and significant change and development. And the process behind OKR is all about short bursts of major activity, hence the 90-day chunk process. So OKR for us and the 90-day goal getting mastery, what it's about is a five-stage process which we'll go through. You basically chunk the year into 4 times 90-day cycles of activity. Now, I know that doesn't quite add up to 365 days, but you're allowed 5 days off in the year, or 6 days in a leap year. But the reality is 90-day chunks works really nicely in 4 cycles a year, and you can get major bursts of activity done. So you can, if you work on a 3 project per cycle principle, then clearly you get 12 done, or if you work on 5 projects per process, sorry, 5 projects per cycle, then 20 major projects done in a year. And it's all about quarterly cycle review, planning and implementation days. And what we would ask you to do and suggest and encourage you to do is to take half a day out each quarter at least. We take a full day out in our businesses to actually plan and implement OKR, and that's a little bit of looking backwards, but most importantly looking forwards and planning your next 90-day burst of activity. So we mentioned a 5-stage process, so this is what we're going to go through in the workshop and toolkit a bit later, but basically it's about celebrating success. What's good on this ship? That came from one of the Apollo missions, the one, I forget exactly the number it was, but the one that sort of like got up into space and was going to struggle to get back. So they had to understand what was working on the spacecraft to enable them to then work out what they could utilise the tools that they had to improvise and get back. So it's about celebrating success, but actually looking at what's currently working well for you, playing to your strengths, if you like. It's also about looking about what's important for you over the next 90 days. It could be a threat that you've got, you've got the competitive or market pressures that you've got to overcome, or it could well be something that, a big project that you want to deliver to step change your business and take you forward. We then look at how we can break that down into bite-sized chunks. I love the saying, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. And then we then plan that out. And a great way of doing that is around 90 minutes a day of activity. So we're not going to go into the 90-minute activity per se in this toolkit, because that's a separate product as such. But the concept of actually every working day actually undertaking 90 days working on your business rather than in your business is a real powerful thing. So what are you doing today that's about helping you get and keep customers or moving a project forward? That's really important. So if you work in 90-minute chunks per day doing activities and then focused on activities that are driving forward in terms of these 90-day chunk OKR or 90-day goal-getting principles, then you'll achieve masses more than you would by just working in the normal 9 to 5 way and trying to fit your projects in once you've got your other stuff done. It's important that your projects and your sales, marketing, getting and keeping customers work comes first. And then the part of the process, the final wrap-up really is every 90 days you review where you are, you reset and you go again, and then you have another 90-day burst and another 90-day burst and another 90-day burst. And mega successful businesses, this is how they work to get major milestones achieved and new products to market and are world leaders. And we can learn from it and we can benefit from it. So this is what this is all about. Because if you remember, we're living in exponential times. You know that the amount of time these days for market penetration of, say, the internet or Facebook for the first million, 10 million, 100 million of the world population versus 100 years ago when radio first come out and then when TV first come out. You know, the time it takes to get market penetration of significant volume is shrinking all the time. So we have to move much faster now than their parents did and their grandparents did in previous generations. And OKR, 90-day goal-getting mastery, really helps us achieve that. This guy's Yogi. He was a very famous basketball coach. I think if we looked in the UK, it would be somebody like Alex Ferguson for soccer or football. But Yogi was a very famous New York Yankee coach, and he wasn't that smart, poor old Yogi. But he actually came up with one or two corkers. So some of the things that Yogi says, which makes us think about, you know, how we can undertake fast action and why we need to think about what we're doing. It's things like, you know, the future ain't what it used to be. I knew the record was standard till it was broken. 90% of the game is half mental. You know, if you don't know where you're going, you might not get there. And there are other plays on these sort of phrases and words as well. But, you know, nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. I think that's an important one. You know, if you follow the crowd, you're going to be in the 80% of people who are being, you know, just getting by, or you're being in with the Joneses. You know, the super successful businesses are the ones in the top 1, 2, 5%. Top 20% are being successful. So if you follow the crowd, you know, you're not in the super successful and successful mindset. So we need to get there. And if you think about Heinz beans back in 1869, you know, they had 57 varieties of the same beans, but it took them a long, long time to get market penetration. Whereas if you look at Mind Candy, who are the owners and creators of Moshi Monsters, how quickly crazes now take off in the UK. And the latest one we've just seen, trying not to date this video, this screenshot, but the latest one was the Loom Bands craze, which was basically spiked massively over the summer 2014, but was gone within 3 or 4 months of starting. So, you know, you have to take these opportunities really, really quickly. And if you sit back in your business or in your own personal planning, if you sit round and think about the normal, you know, 12-month, 24-month, 36-month business planning processes that the banks and the rest like you to look at, the reality is you miss these opportunities. You know, the boat's gone. So you need to be a leader, a driver of change, otherwise you're really gonna miss the boat. So, you know, pace of change over time is getting much faster, as we've said. Here's a chart that shows you something I mentioned a moment ago, which is around the percentage of how long it's taken technology to impact percentage of households. And this is from the US, and it's a Deloitte analysis. But as you can see, you know, it took 45 years for telephone to get to 50% penetration of US households way back when. But over time, as things have come electricity, then now through computing, cell phones, colour TV and internet, and if you put, as I said, Facebook and other such phenomenons that have come through since, it's incredibly shorter than that. So, you know, we need to be adaptive and we need to be driving change. So is OKR right for you, or is the 90-day goal-getting process right for you? Really, you know, why is it right for Mind Candy? What is it that makes it so effective, and what's the proof? Well, you know, the 90-day goal-getting process, outcome key results, is really right because it's high velocity. It drives massive action, you know, and as people say, you know, to make great change, you have to take the first step. You know, there are quite often in our lives more unknowns than knowns. So, you know, by moving fast, you can be adaptive and you can flex and you can change. And no one knows what can be achieved. And we'll come on to sort of SMART targets versus OKR-based targets in a short while. But you know, if you reach for the sun, you may well get to the moon. You know, that's an incredible achievement. So let's celebrate success rather than beat ourselves up for not always achieving what we set out. Because if you set far enough stretching targets, whatever you achieve is going to be a damn sight better than 99% of the rest of the population or the businesses around you that are competing, and it's going to get you far ahead of where anyone else is in your sector. So really touched on this, 90-day goal getting mastery and OKR process is about being optimistic. It is limitless, and in many ways it's self-governing. As business leaders, either small businesses, medium, larger businesses, we're responsible for driving change and making things happen. Because again, 99% of the population are followers, not leaders. So to be an effective leader, you have to drive change, and the 90-day goal getting process is a brilliant way to drive change within organisations. So just to wrap up this brief history and introduction, let's not forget, the successful companies that use these principles. So the disciples of 90-day goal getting drivers, people like Moshi Monsters, Mind Candy, Bill Gates, Microsoft, Intel, Google, and Zappos. Hopefully you've enjoyed that short walkthrough, and the next series of the toolkit and modules within the toolkit, where actually I'm going to do less talking and you're going to be able to start implementing and building a model that actually gets you super success within your business or within your personal life, or however you want to use the 90-day goal getting process. So good luck with that, and we'll see you on the other side in a couple of moments.